outdated, lifeless cultures and systems, destined to disappear swiftly, much like horse-drawn carriages when automobiles arrived. So, fellow Chanyuan celestials, although we are facing difficulties now, the future of Lifechanyuan is undoubtedly bright and glorious. Our wishes will undoubtedly be fulfilled, our aspirations will certainly come true. The problem of providing for the elderly, which has not been solved for 5,000 years, has finally been solved satisfactorily. Xiefeng. November 28, 2020. Most people will become elderly eventually. Do not let them reach the ends of their lives in solitude, loneliness, helplessness, and misery. It is the will of the greatest Creator, the ideal of gods, Buddha, celestials, saints, and sages, and also everyone else's expectation. For 5,000 years, this unresolved problem of mankind has finally been satisfactorily resolved today. The traditional concept and method of relying on one's children to provide for their final years should come to an end. Although fond parents are legion, whoever saw a really filial child? In cases of chronic sickness, there are no dutiful children at the bedside. 5,000 years of human history tell us that relying on adult children to provide for their elderly parents is not an ideal solution. Sending elderly people to nursing homes will leave them with withered surroundings every day in the final stage of their lives. This is too cruel and is tantamount to saying, do not die at home, but go and wait for death somewhere else. In recent years, many of the elderly have joined voluntarily to mutually comfort and care for each other. This kind of living in one's old age is a helpless action and is not really an ideal model. So, where is the ideal old age support pattern for mankind and what are the contents of an ideal elderly support system? The most ideal one is in the new oasis for life created by Lifechanyuan. The details are as follows. The elderly people live together with middle-aged people, young people, and children all the time. Every day they can see energetic people around them. They live happily and joyously and forget that they are old, and they reach the end of their lives while laughing, joking, and chatting. The elderly should also live with enthusiasm, passion, vitality, and taste. It should always be made clear to them that death is only the end of life but not the end of life and that it is only a new starting point for life. After death, there will be a better place to go. It is like abandoning a boat and stepping ashore. In this way, the elderly will never again fear death, but will welcome its arrival happily. Do not let the elderly die from illness, lying helplessly in bed and waiting for death, but let them decide the day of their deaths by themselves when they feel no more worries, satisfied, and their consciousnesses are very clear. This is how I said to end life with the Chanyuan meditation method. Careful, sincere, and enthusiastic middle-aged or young people should always manage their daily lives. People should cook for them, prepare tea and water for them, wash their clothes, bedding, and sheets, assist in bathing them, say good morning to them when the sun rises and good night when it sets, so that they will have no worries about their futures. It has been 11 years since the new oasis for life was born on earth. 11 years of practice have proven that the above-mentioned cannot only be fully realized, but that it already has been. It is hoped that the governments of many countries will agree with our pattern of support for the elderly in the new oasis for life and its infinite merits for them that they should enjoy happily during their old age. I hope that young and middle-aged people will prepare for their old age as soon as possible and contribute their talents and financial resources to the elderly care model of the new oasis for life. Do not wait until you are old because it will be too late to consider it after the age of 60 because the new oasis for life is not a charity and the blessings that one enjoys must be accumulated by oneself. It is unfair and unjust to rely on others' dedication and sacrifices without personally accumulating one's old age care capital in advance. I hope that everyone in the world will enjoy the elderly care mode benefits of the new oasis for life. May your sunset time be more exciting than your youth or middle age. The psychological qualities to be Chanyuan celestial. Xiefeng. August 28, 2009. During the Three Kingdoms time, an important defensive place Jiding was lost because of Zhuge Liang's subordinate General Ma Su's disobedience. Sima Yi, who was the general of Wei, led his troop moving towards Xicheng where Zhuge stationed. Comparing with Sima Yi's 150,000 soldiers, Zhuge Liang had only the civil officials and the 2,500 of soldiers. His officers were all frightened at the news of approaching of the enemy. But Zhuge Liang, on the contrary, donned the simple Taoist dress and, attended by a couple of lads, sat down on the wall by one of the towers with his lute before him and a stick of incense burning. His face was with all smiles as he played the lute. This is the famous story of Empty Town Bluff. Zhuge Liang showed outstanding psychological quality in the face of crumbling under attacks. When he and his men hovered between life and death, he could remain serene and control and even amuse himself by playing the lute rhythmically. In the chapter of In a Plum Garden, Cao Cao discusses heroes. Cao Cao pointed his finger first at Liu Bei and then at himself, saying, "The only heroes in the world are you and me," which shocked Liu Bei so great that the spoon and chopsticks rattled to the floor. Although Liu Bei stooped down to recover the fallen articles and said, "What a thunder!" And it was quite close, in order to covering his shock, he still exposed his inadequate psychological quality. On the later chapters, Liu Bei ignored the whole situation of his country and attached too much importance to brotherhood for revenging Guanyu, which lead to the result of his camps extending 700 li being burnt out by Lu Sun, a general of East Wu. His failure is also caused by his inadequate psychological quality. The outstanding general of East Wu, Zhou Yu, is irate to death at the age of 36, which was also a result of bad psychological quality. In the end, he sighed, "O God, since thou made Zhou Yu, why did thou also create Zhuge Liang?" It is a good illustration of his psychological quality inferior to that of Zhuge Liang. Totally different with Zhou Yu, Sima Yi accepted the skirt given by Zhuge Liang kindly and wore it at once, intending to irritate Zhuge Liang, which also showed Sima Yi's outstanding psychological quality here. What is psychological quality? It is a comprehensive reflection of the temperament, character, thinking, emotion, IQ, tolerance, and faith of a person, and the embodiment of that person's connotation. A man of excellent psychological quality is confident, generous, strong, stable, energetic, optimistic, tolerable, magnanimous and calm, etc., while a man of bad psychological quality is self-abasement, bigoted, testiness, pessimistic, negative, narrow and flurried. Chanyuan celestials are the most civilized, most cultivated, most intelligent, most active and creative, strongest people with spiritual nature in the world. They are common but above the common of the ordinary sense and free-form vulgarity. Therefore, each Chanyuan celestial should have the following psychological qualities. Remain calm in the face of danger and death. Chanyuan celestials hand her life to the greatest creator and her lifetime to the Tao. They can remain serene and in control in the face of danger and death. Never retreat and feel discouraged in the face of extremely difficulties and hardships. As long as they breathe, as long as there is 1 out of 10,000's hope, they'll not give up, not let any chance of survival slip away. In front of the long journey, they will overcome all obstacles and difficulties with indomitable spirit. They will not step back, even if they would die. They died on the journey for the destination. They will never stop short of goal. Many people around may ridicule, satirize, speak ironically, slander, insult, and attack them or create difficulties. It doesn't matter, they would sit tight in the fishing boat despite the rising wind and waves, and stick to it and never give up. They stand steadfastly on the ground. In front of desperate situation, they will laugh in the wind. When they are struggling alone, we will show their heroic spirit all the same. When it comes to the complicated and bewildered situation, they will keep relaxed, steady, and active instead of changing our opinions or following other people blindly. They'll lighten the magic lamp in their heart for walking out of the path of error and creating an ideal future in extraordinary courage and style. When it comes to the unreasonably troublesome or importunate situation, they will be open and clear, active and flexible, witty and tactful so as to prevent contradictions from intensifying and try to be humor, funny, or to pretend to be foolish for getting rid of drudgery, rather than getting us more deeply entangled in it. In front of frustration, they will never feel inferior, or stop their marching process. They believe that as long as they have firm faith in their heart, as long as they make unremitting endeavor, when God closes a door, somewhere he opens a window, and there will be another sunrise every morning. It is just like some famous Chinese saying, where hills bend, streams wind and the pathway seems to end, past dark willows and flowers in bloom lies another village. Or, when it is dark in the east, it is light in the east, when things are dark in the south, there is still light in the north. They would impress the world someday, and in this I firmly believe. What are listed above are the 8 attainments to be a Chanyuan celestial. As long as they have these attainments, no such a flame mountain that is impassable, no such a difficulty is insurmountable. As long as they have these attainments and integrated personality, they'll have a bright future and they will approach the celestial world smoothly. The realms that Chanyuan celestials have achieved. Xiefeng. May 3, 2020. There were more than 2,000 Chanyuan celestials in 2009, after more than 10 years, only 444 of them remain, so it can be seen how strict the Lifechanyuan elimination mechanism has been. Of these remaining Chanyuan celestials, at least half of them are unqualified but the truly compliant, ripe crops, who can be harvested into the granary of the kingdom of heaven is only slightly more than 100. These are the tops in the world, that is, only very few people can enter heaven, and if you do not believe me, then just check the following and see if you can reach the level that these more than 100 fortunate souls have achieved. They have transcended life and death. Even if the more than 100 Chanyuan celestials die now, they would not hesitate or have any fear, but will face death calmly and joyfully. Death is like changing a car or a boat, and its threat would never make them succumb. Any temptation is powerless to them. You could offer them $100 million to leave Xiefeng, but they would remain indifferent. Money, power, fame, gain, and carnal pleasure can neither touch them nor shake their faith. They are calm in the face of both favor and disgrace. However, you praise or eulogize them would not persuade them to comply, no matter how you insult, derogate, or threaten them, they would not get angry. Owning nothing, possessing neither tangible material things nor intangible non-material things, they have no relatives, no enemies, let alone any lovers, and are in an ethereal and beautiful state of being that is one with Tao. They have no desires, take things as they come, associate with others by following predestined relations, act in accordance with their natures, take advantage of opportunities that arise, and are in a state of inaction. They will neither argue with anyone nor comment on who is right or wrong. They have surpassed the dualistic Taiji thinking and entered into the holographic state of non-form thinking. They never panic or complain about others when adversity or danger is at their door, but remain at ease, natural, and unrestrained. They never complain, compare themselves to or find fault with others, suffer from envy, are always blooming with the nature of Tathagata, and are always full of energy and infinite vitality. There are many more descriptions that can be stated, but how many people can achieve even these 8 states? Many truths taught by Jesus, Buddha, Lao Tzu, and other wise masters, are easy to learn and even to understand, but they are next to impossible to live. If you do not believe me, then just try them yourself. How were we able to reach such high levels of self-improvement and self-cultivation in Lifechanyuan within only about 10 years? This is very simple to answer. It is that we have grasped the core of self-improvement and self-cultivation, and our precious time has not been wasted on chanting scriptures, casting spells, practicing and sitting in meditation, understanding obscure concepts, reading a vast sea of chicken soup for the soul, preaching and debating, paying attention to and worrying about changes in our current situation or natural changes. Nor has it been wasted on the mundane affairs of human relations in daily life. We did 3 things earnestly. We repaid our debts and severed our secular ties. We accumulated merits and treasures in heaven. We perfected our life's non-material structure by living collectively. Chanyuan celestials are rising to the highest realms of life, and it can be said with pride that these more than 100 Chanyuan celestials have stood at a higher realm of life than any other people throughout all of human history. Only these nearly 100 people have collectively achieved it. This is a miracle, a feat, and more than a myth. The scripture for the transcending of the soul of the deceased in Lifechanyuan. Xiefeng. Preface. Life is like a dream, and people come and go. Just like the moon waxes and wanes, so does happiness and sorrow in life. The 3 emperors return to the underworld, and the 5 sovereigns meet their ends in the netherworld. Wealth cannot keep us in the human world forever. Even with high virtue and a glorious name, who can stay forever in this human world? All things in the 3 realms and the human world are fleeting. No matter how precious our bodies are, they will eventually be reduced to dust. No matter who dies, we should neither be sad nor happy, it is the way of nature. If a person passes away and their soul is still attached to the living world because of worries or fears, then their soul will stay in the place of death for a long time. In such cases, please recite the scripture for the transcending of the soul of the deceased in Lifechanyuan, to comfort their soul, show them the way to move on, and help them to leave this world as soon as possible to avoid getting stuck to what they are attached to and missing their way forward. From the day of the deceased's passing, a respected person should recite this scripture aloud 3 times a day, morning, noon, and evening, 9 meters away from the body, clearly and steadily, without any sadness or joy in their voice. It should be like chatting, comforting, and guiding, like a wise teacher pointing the way. This should continue for 3 days. Other matters should be handled according to the Lifechanyuan funeral system. Below is the scripture for transcending of the soul of the deceased in Lifechanyuan. Dear XX, celestial name, please listen carefully. Family affairs, national affairs, and world affairs are not worth worrying about anymore. Please do not worry about your loved ones, friends, and neighbors. Do not worry about debts and entanglements. Your children and grandchildren will have their own blessings, so please be at ease. Tao arranges their birth and growth and has mercy on them. Please do not be entangled in your heart. Everything is arranged by Tao, and everything has its own destiny. Life and death, good and bad fortune, are predetermined by Tao. Please do not be attached to this world and leave promptly. Please do not hesitate and go on your way. The journey to the celestial island is the right path to take. Dear XX, please listen carefully. Life is like a dream. Even emperors and presidents cannot escape death. Billionaires are like floating weeds, gods and Buddhas leave behind no trace of themselves in this world, the sages and saints of the past are buried in the wilderness, kings and noblemen of all ages have left behind no trace of themselves. How can ordinary people expect to live forever without aging or death? Spring goes and autumn comes, autumn goes and winter comes. Flowers bloom and wither, and plants will wither and die. No flower can bloom for 100 days, and no person can live for 1,000 years. White bones are buried in deserted tombs that extend for thousands of miles. All of the achievements and failures of the past are like clouds. Happiness and sorrow, meeting and parting, the moon waxes and wanes, these things have never been constant throughout history. Hope you have no attachments and leave promptly.